Liv, I need to get your thoughts.
Don't know how this works yet? As a general rule, I require a dead body and a brain. I'm a zombie. Nature is a zombie. We're all on the same team. We eat brains and we solve murders.
I'm not so sure that this is the best time for me to be on Teenage Girl Brain.
Suck it up, Lily White.
While we're on the subject of the dead...
Stop, police!
I cannot stop taking selfies.
These guys are zombies. They know how to eliminate zombies.
Get cover!
We think of everything.
You gotta break some rules.
I never would have expected I'd be surrounded by so many dead bodies.
We're totally best friends, right?
Oh, good God. I know what's happening right now with the brain, but it still freaks me out.
Well, if anyone can get used to it, it's you.
Look at us, all working together to solve mysteries. We should get a van and a dog.
iZombie. Season premiere Tuesday, April 4th, only on the CW.
All right, guys, it is that time. Make some noise. Welcome your host and moderator, Cole Delbick, and today's guest, the one and only Rose McIver.
Let's keep it going for Rose, everybody.
Woo! Thank you for having me. I'm a bit excited. We just discovered that we dressed matching, so you can thank us later.
It's a big day.
It's a big deal.
Team Z is in the building. I can't believe it. I love saying the words iZombie Season 3.
You and me both. I pinch myself. I'm so lucky. I get to do this show that I love, and we've come back for a third season that I think is our best yet. So I'm very excited for fans to see it.
Yeah, you know, and I've been a fan since the pilot, and I just think this show is so criminally underrated. So everybody who's been sleeping on iZombie, wake up, because this season goes full throttle zombie craziness in the best way.
I was going to say, I think this season will wake you up. It's pretty full on. There's a lot of action. Zombie lovers will be very excited. There's lots of sequences with zombies.
So did you ever expect, I mean, after being cast in this role, that you'd be here 2 seasons later with the cast and crew?
You can only hope. I mean, there's so many maybes in this industry, and it feels like every stage is an audition process. You know, you do the pilot, and if the pilot gets picked up, then you do the first season, and if that gets picked up, you keep coming back. And we're just grateful that it's because of our fan base, for sure, that we have been able to come back for a third season. And I don't think I had ever dreamed that it would fly so well, and I'm so excited that it has.
Well, it's so nice to have you here looking very much alive and well. Some color in your cheeks. The blonde is here.
It took a long time to cover up my zombie look today to look human, so.
Very convincing job. You know, I think you have one of the toughest jobs on TV. Every week you're playing not only Liv, but also this personality of the brain that you just ingested. You know, Emmys, what's good? Can we get some recognition here? Yeah.
Well, it's one of the toughest maybe, but it's also just one of the most privileged. When you're a kid and you think, I want to be an actor when I grow up, it's because you could play all these different roles and assume these different characters. And a lot of the time, especially in television, you don't get to do that. You play one role for a long time and you fight to find the variety in it. But for me, it's like a kid's dream to go into a dress-up box each week and like put on that hat and be somebody else. So I feel very, very lucky.
And so what's your process when you get the script? Is there someone on set that's helping you learn languages or stunts or how to become a real housewife?
I wish there was a long process. Unfortunately, because it's fast turnaround television, we just move so quickly, and I'll get a script and 3 days later I'm playing that character. And so for things like this season, I ate the brain of a dominatrix, and it was very interesting to research, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, what'd you type into Google there?
Well, exactly. I was sitting at the airport on a flight back from LA to Vancouver, and I was typing in like dominatrix documentaries like on YouTube. And I remember these things just started like popping up, and people, like young families, were sitting around behind me, and I was sort of trying to convince them that I wasn't a creepy pervert. I was like researching a role, guys. It's work. So there can be some very interesting situations that arise with researching for this character.
Well, you've played so many great characters over the years. Do you have a sort of a wish list in mind? Like, if you could eat one person's brain, dead or alive, Not to be too dark, but who would it be?
Great question. One I never thought I'd ask myself. But I think, I mean, I'm always interested in like all these true crime things that are going on, like the serial and the making a murderer, and all these. There's a lot of evidence and there's lots that we can draw from. But if you could just eat their brain, that would make it really simple. You'd really know what was going on. So, I think I would be justice seeking with my brain eating myself.
Just like Liv, I'm seeing some similarities here.
Two of a kind.
Before we get into season 3 goodness, we just have to talk about that season 2 finale, which was so epic. Like, all the other series need to take note. This is how you do a season finale. And it was kind of a reset for the series with the destruction of Max Rager and, Clive becoming in the know, some deaths of your boyfriend, R.I.P. Rob Thomas, the musician.
I was going to say, for me, like that finale, it was incredibly written and I was so excited. I thought it left perfect cliffhangers. The thing I was most excited about was Matchbox 20's Rob Thomas was coming and doing an episode. And turns out he's like the biggest iZombie fan there is.
Really?
He arrived and started questioning me about Liv's backstory and about where her father was and all these things. I was like, you know more than I... And he was like, yeah, well, actually, with the zombie law, the way that it would work is... It's like, Rob, you are putting me in my place. Okay. So we'll have to resurrect him for something at some point.
So after all like the destruction and death at the season 2 finale, how is everybody doing going into season 3? We left Liv in a pretty emotional space, despite her having eaten the brain of a soldier.
So I feel like the first couple of seasons, we see Liv really struggling with her identity and trying to work out who she is in the world and find her backbone as a zombie. And I think now by season 3, she really has a strong sense of self. I think going into this season, we see that she has high stakes. She has people she's protecting, and she's a lot more confident in her leadership, I feel like. There's also a lot more ensemble. We have everybody working together, and sort of the storylines and the brains really intersect in a beautiful way this year. So the brains that she eats impacts the kind of wider storyline. And so that means we get to see a lot more of the other characters' backstories as well. We get to see Babineau with a moustache. That's a highlight for me. And yeah, it's really exciting. I think it's high stakes this season, and it's a zombie apocalypse approaching, and are we going to keep that at bay? That's kind of the big question.
Well, now, yeah, as you said, there's sort of this united front, almost like the Scooby Gang of Buffy. I feel like it's real Buffy season 3 vibes here. And it's so nice that we're not having storylines about who knows, who doesn't know. Everyone's on the same page. And yes, with this possible zombie apocalypse looming, can you tease how that might play out through this season?
Well, mainly, we don't know whether to trust Vivian and the Fillmore Graves lot or not, really. That's a big part of it, is trying to work out whether we are with them or against them. And I think what I like in this season is there's lots of shades of grey. There's nothing black and white and moralistic about what they do. It's a lot of the bad guy isn't necessarily a bad guy. He's got a different approach. And I think right now we're living in a time which is just so divisive and so us or them in a lot of our thinking that it's great to be part of a show that sort of says, hang on, why do these people think that way? Where are they from? What do they want? How can we kind of work together to make something that is best for everybody? So that's kind of what they are navigating through this season a lot. And I feel proud to be on a show that who thought a zombie comedy romance drama would be speaking to bigger issues like this. So I feel lucky about that.
Yeah, what struck me watching the premiere is that the show has more of a political tinge to it. The zombies are sort of positioned as a minority group in need of protection and defense. And so was that sort of a response to the political climate, or just a natural sort of extension of the storytelling?
I think it's a little of both. I think Rob Thomas and Diane Ruggiero Wright, who are the creators of our show, definitely like to integrate current events and things that are happening and the way that people are moving in society and bring that into their storylines. But at the same time, it was a natural progression for the show as well. And I think it's something I hadn't really thought of with Liv. I mean, she's from an affluent society, and she's, got a loving family, and she's got all these things in place, but she is like absolutely a target, and she's struggling, and it's kind of nice to be playing this character who is an unlikely victim and somebody who is at risk but still has these physical superpowers. Like, it's a very dimensional role for me, and I just, again, I didn't see that as something that people would necessarily think would pop out with like a zombie comedy like TV show for it to be so sort of loaded. So I think it's a little bit of a response to the climate that there is, and I think that it's also Rob Thomas just kind of writing these three-dimensional characters that evolve themselves and that interact so beautifully.
In our real world, how do you think people would respond to zombies being a real thing? How would that go, do you think?
It's a scary thought because obviously with our show, we don't paint zombies as bad guys. We paint them as like afflicted peoples and people that have to respond to what they've been given. And so to imagine that in society, you'd like to think that people would tolerate and understand and protect and work. But I don't know that we're there yet at all. I don't know what would happen. And I think it's important to be making material that addresses like different lives and completely different worldviews and how they can live together. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure that the States is ready for a zombie outbreak, to be honest. But maybe after watching iZombie, they will be.
Well, yeah, I have to give you guys credit because I think sometimes that messaging is even more impactful coming from a show you wouldn't expect. They're turning on the CW. People might not necessarily expect those things, but it's there, and I think it can have a real influence on the viewer. And so, speaking of zombies and this larger mythology that's going on, Season 3 sort of brings Team Z out of their small corner of Seattle into this big, bold world. Can we expect the storytelling to be more serialized this season and less sort of case of the week?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, there's kind of the best parts of the iZombie that we've come to know and love from season 1 and 2, where there is a brain each week and there can be lots of entertaining things around that. It's very funny, some of them. Dungeons and Dragons brain is one of my favorites, which I would never have picked. I'd never played that game, and wow, I'm in. I'm sold. But I think people will enjoy that, and there's a lot of comedy through this season, but at the same time, it's all serving this greater storyline and this us or them kind of mounting pressure between humans and zombies. So there is a lot more of a serialized aspect to the show because of that.
Yeah, to me, it's almost never felt like so much like a zombie show because now Major's a zombie and we're meeting more and more. It's almost like We Zombie, not iZombie.
I know, maybe we need a rewrite for season 3's title. We Zombie. There are a few of us knocking about now.
So what is that like playing with Major? Because he is going to be eating brains as well, and I think in the preview we see him eating the brain of a teenage girl.
One of my favorite episodes to film was me eating the brain of a father, like a tool polishing, kind of grilling, encouraging sports father, and Robert Buckley, who plays Major, eating the brain of a teenage girl who's self-indulgent and vain and feels like the whole world is against them. And it was so much fun. It's worrying how easily Buckley played that. We had to have a few little heart-to-hearts. I was like, Buckley, what have we not dealt with here? You're a perfect teenage girl. And he could play the mood swings. It was brilliant. But we had a lot of fun shooting that.
What can we expect from Major and Liv this season? I think your relationship is one the fans have really gravitated towards, and they've had so many ups and downs, but now, right, I mean, they're both zombies. There's clearly a lot of love there. Could we expect a reunion?
Well, the thing is they're still working on a cure. They really want a cure, and I think sure, 2 zombies are easier together than a zombie and a human, but zombies in love is a difficult prospect in general because the idea of raising a family while you're snacking on a cadaver is not ideal. So I think that they're really still trying to work through that. I think that their friendship and their love for each other is a lot deeper than something that can be ruined by on again, off again, and that's very precious to them, and they don't want to jeopardize it by that. So ultimately, we would love Liv and Major to work out, but there are certainly a few other zombies. There are some other suitors around, so we'll see.
Yeah, you mentioned the cure, and so it's kind of this really difficult trade-off that you can become a human again, but you will lose your memories. And it seems like Major is heading in that direction, considering he took the first cure, which leads to death. So might Major lose all his memories?
You're going to have to watch season 3, aren't you? Yes, I mean, there are side effects. It's an untested cure. Like, they're learning as they go. And I think it's so great that Ravi's character I just love so much. The fact that he is so devoted to, and he's so altruistic and really just wants to help the human race and the zombie race. But I think that like it's interesting this season with The Cure because it's also that Liv has found so much of her identity in being a zombie and in what she's able to do with that. So while ultimately long term she doesn't want that for her life, she's certainly making the most of it and being a voice for people who need it. And I think that's admirable.
You know, we got a peek at sort of human Liv last season when she ate the brain of this super competitive student. Do you think we would ever see Liv as human again on the show, or is that sort of, you know, is iZombie after all?
Pardon me. I think that I don't know. We're not there yet. We're certainly not there yet. Liv is she goes undercover. We see her pretend to be a human a little more convincingly than usual. And what is worrying is that when she did that this season, I had to have about 2.5 hours of hair and makeup to make me look like a healthy member of society. And whereas now we're down to 1.5 hours to make me look like a zombie. So thank you, long hours in Vancouver with the beautiful weather. It seems a little too natural now. But yeah, we do see her play around with that a bit more. We don't see her cured anytime soon, I'll tell you that.
Are we sticking with the traditional zombie look? Like, I know a lot of people are doing the tan and dye. Major looks normal, and this new sort of paramilitary zombie group led by Vivian, everyone is really under wraps trying to keep the secret. And she sort of jokes with you, come on, you're really not helping us out anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think Liv is also, she doesn't want to be one of those, I think she says self-deprecating zombies or something like that, where she is proud of who she's become as well. She doesn't want to make herself an at-risk target with everybody knowing she's a zombie and raging out in front of people. But at the same time, it's part of why I loved taking on the role. I love that she embraces what she looks like. She's not like everybody else, and I think that's a great role model for young people to have, as somebody who I think lives a beautiful character, and I think that they've found this really unusual beauty in her. So I don't think we're in a desperate hurry for her to try to hide that, no.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Are you telling me you don't like this look?
I love this look.
Speak
I
up,
might
Cole.
dress up as Halloween for this look. I am a major,
Is that a promise?
major iZombie fan.
I'm going to stalk. I'm going to stalk you. I'll find out.
I will send it your way. Come to Halloween time.
Okay.
You know, we were talking backstage a little bit on this press tour. You have sort of started this press tour band where you've been singing along with your crew, and the premiere has some musical elements. So could we see that in the show a little bit?
Well, I've got to find out if this great driver I've been working with, Junior, in New York is available before I commit to an iZombie musical episode, because he's kind of my vibe. He's my mojo. I can't do it without him. He's been fantastic. No, it's always good with these things to be able to have a bit of a laugh. And I think with the show in general, we celebrate fun. Like, we're not a show, as much as we do deal with some bigger issues, and we like to think we hit home sometimes, that it's an entertaining show, and we like to have a good time when we make it and when we promote it. And so coming and doing things like this is a real pleasure. The musical episode, well, there are 4 of us. 4 of the 6 lead actors are championing it. We want it so badly. Raoul and Robert Buckley are not on board.
Come on.
And it might be something to do with a little tone-deaf kind of musical incapability. I don't want to point the finger, but I think it might be that they're feeling a little insecure about their ability. So if we can get them on the triangle or on the cymbals, get them over the line, I think it's a shoo-in. So I want everybody to keep harassing Rob Thomas on Twitter, on social media. We're determined to make that happen.
Were you an Ali and AJ fan before you started the show? Because there's some serious musical chops here.
Ali is an incredible singer and guitar player. I actually had worked with AJ on a film called The Lovely Bones when I was 19, so I met them years ago. It's funny, it's a much smaller world than you think. I moved out from New Zealand and I was like, oh, I'm coming to the big smoke, and who knows if I'll ever know anybody and be close friends again, and and then you run into the same people 50 times. Like, it's funny the way you kind of, it's like magnetic. You draw back to the same people, I think. And Ali and AJ, they're just such musical prodigies. I think they're incredibly talented. They're making new music right now. I'm saying to Ali, I really want you to make a great new record, but don't you dare take off too much time from shooting, because I need Peyton. So as long as her tours work around our schedule, I'm fine. I love it. I'm the biggest Ali and AJ fan there is.
And looking forward to the future of iZombie, it's done such a great job at honoring its source material. And I'm curious, as the universe expands, might we see some more supernatural characters from the original comics, like, were-terriers or vampires? Could those pop up?
I know that when we started making the show, they had to choose which things to focus on, and they decided that they would just go with the zombie universe for now. But at the same time, I don't think they were bearing in mind a potential season 4, season arc. So who knows what might pop up now? That's the luxury of being on the air long enough to be able to explore and really excavate the material. And because we have the great comics to work from, it's like there are all sorts of pieces, little Easter eggs and things that you'll see dropped in throughout the show. I mean, even when Raoul Coley as Ravi is a gamer, and in one episode his game is like a were-terrier character. So there'll be little things that you notice are paying kind of homage to the books themselves. And Chris Robertson and Michael Allred have been so supportive. It's incredible, because I know people who've worked on adaptations before that aren't necessarily so kind of championed by the creators of the original material, and we're so lucky. They're great. And I love all of the images that we've been able to use from them for like our opening sequences, and very fortunate.
You mentioned the video games, and I love that iZombie is a show that embraces pop culture. It doesn't exist in this vacuum. People are playing video games, people are watching Game of Thrones, and it's like a reference a minute, whether it be a Veronica Mars shout out or something else. Can we expect any more of these? Maybe a possible Veronica Mars cast member cameo, some more?
Oh, yeah, we've got more Veronica Mars cameos for sure. I mean, it's such a testament to that show that these people all still want to work together, that they believed in that material so much, that the fans loved it enough that when we do these cameos and we do these people coming back onto our show, that people are so on board and the fans love it. So this season we have Jason Doring coming on, who is just so talented. Like, he is doing a completely different role. It's something really surprising and special. So people will get to enjoy him a little later on in the season.
I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to get over Kristen Bell reading that erotic novel.
Neither. You and me both.
Like,
she absolutely crushed it. I know it's worrying how naturally she did that. Makes me wonder if there's some little side business she's got going on. But yeah, we would love to. I mean, obviously, if we can get her on the show at some stage in live action form, that would be amazing. She's just quite a busy young woman, turns out.
Well, now we're going to turn it over to some audience questions.
Yes. Hello. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
My question is, you eat a lot of brains on the show. I was wondering what it is you're actually eating.
They're like gelatin, it's coconut agar-agar, something I didn't know about, but it's sort of a gelatinous substance that they put in brain-shaped molds, and then they use corn syrup and all sorts of hot sauce and various things over the top. It's not worth writing down the recipe, I'll tell you that. We have a great prop chef, Juno, who has done everything in his power to make them edible. And the meals around them are always actually delicious. Genuinely, I will take home leftovers, but we leave out those little brain chunks because they're unsalvageable, honestly.
Hello. Hi. I'm curious to know, with all the personas you've taken on the show, were there any that were difficult to bring to life?
The one that I found most difficult is surprising, but it was the first episode of season 2. I ate the brain of this very bigoted, kind of grumpy old man. And it just wasn't a very likable character to bring to life. I would rather do sort of a kung fu brain where there's a big stunt component and, I'm stretched. But doing a guy who says really nasty things and kind of is narrow-minded, albeit because he has come from a very sheltered background, and we kind of explore that. He's not demonized, but it's just not a great feeling to do that and go to work every day, especially on a show where normally I get to go to work and laugh. So that was a more challenging one for me, actually.
Here we got one more.
Hi. I'm a really big fan. One of my favorite roles that you've actually ever done.
I love your T-shirt.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
I felt I had to wear it today. Wore it twice, 2 Fridays in a row. Was the fact that you were once a Power Ranger, a Yellow Ranger, probably one of my favorite Yellow Rangers.
Yeah, let's give it up for that.
Power Rangers, get in gear.
Yeah. It was actually what hooked me to watch the show, is the fact that you were my favorite Yellow Ranger. So I was wondering if that's something you'd want to explore on iZombie, maybe some type of Power Ranger-esque character.
She could eat the brain of a Power Ranger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
or
sure
like
whether...
an actor who's been on those type of shows like you have.
I'm not sure what the properties are like with trying to get hold of that, but I'm a champion for Liv eating the brain of a Power Ranger or Tinkerbell from Once Upon a Time, which is a character I played. I thought there was something quite meta about doing one of those. So that would be a lot of fun one day. Get some big monsters in rubber suits, get the whole thing going on.
We need to make that happen.
Okay, yeah. Let's harass Rob about that as well. Thanks.
Okay, we're going to let you go, but could you remind everyone where they can catch the season 3 premiere of iZombie?
On the CW at 9 p.m. or you're going to get it better than me with the New York time, but on Tuesday night, Tuesday, April 4th. I'm very, very excited for you guys to see it. So please tune in. Woo.